Yes, I just want to give you a little historical background um, on the international postal trade, right? Postal trade is controlled by the United Postal Union, which is known as UPU, and who provides a legal framework, provides a legal, regulatory, and technical framework. Right? I'd like to give you a little history of the UPU. The United Postal Union was established in 1874, which is headquarters in Bern, Switzerland. United Postal Union is the world's second, oldest international organization because it was established since 1874 with 192 members. The UPU is the primary forum for postal cooperation between governments, ports, regulators, and many other postal sector stakeholders. Right? There were three major goals of the UPU when it was established, right? Three major goals, one of the first major goal is to improve interoperability of the network infrastructure. The second major goals are to ensure sustainable and modern products. Three, foster effective markets and sector functioning. And you may ask how it works, right? The UPU helps, the United Postal Union, helps ensure the provision of a truly universal postal service with physical, financial, and electronic dimensions. It does this primarily by establishing multilateral cooperations and agreements, to developing technical and quality service standards, and providing technical assistance and developmental cooperations, regulatory worldwide traffic of international mails, monitoring market trends, making recommendations for modernization postal products, and fostering dialogues among other postal sectors, right? This is the International Postal Union in which was birthed our postal service, right? Postal trade legislation. The postal trade legislation is enshrined in the Customs Act, Chapter 8201, and the regulations, right? It basically says goods imported and exported by post are generally subject to the same laws as regarded to customs matters of import and export, prohibition and restriction as goods considered by other means. Simply means that whatever law governing the importation and exportation of goods at the transit shed or the various ports of entries, these same laws govern the whole postal operation. General import and export customs laws are govern postal code. Cargo is found in section 192. And I would encourage you folks to read the customs laws, read up on these acts, read the law and the regulation. Letters, packages, and parcels are examined to determine the required revenue. That's section 17.1, also prohibit and restricted items, right? By now, as aspiring customs officers, you must be aware of what items are prohibited and restricted by the customs laws. An officer of the post may detain, that's the powers of the officer, any postal package which he suspects to have restricted or prohibited items and deliver same to the proper officer. That is in section 194. Postal trade legislation continues. All packages must have a parcel declaration or a green label made out by the sender. Well, I'm going to go into it a little late in the lecture. That is in regulations 191. The post office is deemed to be the agent of the importer or exporter, right? Because of its unique nature. The post office, right, is deemed to be the agent, right, on behalf of the importer and exporter. And they empowered under the law to examine
Change this for me now.
both.
Actual Z for change.
Excuse me, somebody's saying something.
You can continue, Mr. Desain.
The post office is deemed to be the agent of the importer exporter, in that they act on your behalf. They can act on behalf of the importer by conducting examinations for both import or export parcels, letters, and boxes. Commercial packages will be entered as if they imported by ship. This, you can find it in Regulations 192. Postal legislation continued. Prohibited and restricted and false declaration, that's found in Regulations 193. On undelivered packages, I'm going to go into these and give you a more detailed explanation later in the lecture. You found in Regulations 194. The postmaster can collect the duties for customs and subsequently pay them over to customs under Regulations 195. Reason for special treatment. A ship owner doesn't accept goods for carriage by post as he does in ordinary cargo, because there is no bill of lading, but a government contract to carry the mail. You see, ordinary packages are cargo. When they're loaded aboard exporting vessel, the law requires them to have a bill of lading, and that's a declaration that is made to the ship captain. But because of the unique nature of the postal packages, there's a government contract, right, between the carriers, the vessel carriers, to carry mails. As the master of the ship has no knowledge of the contents of mail on board, he's unable to give details of the ship's report, but the number of bags is stated on the report, and he's required by law to deliver all the mails carried to the post office. You see, because of the unique nature of the mails, there may be hundreds of mails. It's impossible for them to give a detailed description of each and every mail that is in the postal packet or the bags, right? That's why there's no bill of lading. Treatment of mail continued. It is not practical to have the mails entered and examined at the transit shed. Well, you can stop me at any time and ask questions, right? You're free to do that. Customs procedures are done at the post office, where GPOC conveys the mails from the ports. The mails, when it arrives at the ports of entry or the airport or at Ogle, it is normally escorted to the post office, the general post office, by a patrol officer. Is under customs control. Accommodations and facilities for customs officers are provided by GPOC. This is just general information. The conveyance of mails, its landing and delivery to the premises of the post office, or the movement from the premises to the place of export, is supervised by customs personnel. So all the mails that arrive in Guyana, whether most is coming through the airports. They're escorted, right, to the general post office by a patrol officer. Laws and regulations. Well, this is just a summary of the laws and regulations. Customs laws are applied to postal importation and exportations through Section 152 to 194 of the Customs Act, and the Customs Regulations 191 to 195, which are specific for postal trade, postal traffic, or postal trade. I would encourage you folks to read these sections of the law and the regulations. The GPOC has three main obligations in respect of mail subject to customs control, and they are to produce mail items as required for customs examination, to open, unpack, and repack such postal packages as the customs officer may require. You see, the post office staff, they're the ones that do the opening for customs inspections, and not only opening, they unpack and repack after an examination has been completed by a customs officer. Also, to collect such charges as customs officer may assess in respect to particular items of mail. For purpose of control, the GPOC may classify items in mails, their letters, packets, or parcels, right? Any package in the overseas mails containing goods liable to duty may have attached to it a declaration in the proper form. This may be a full declaration, as with a parcel, or much smaller documents with letters, right? These forms, the names of these forms are, well, I don't have it on this slide, but the CN22. A CN22 form is a customs declaration to declare all packages with weight below 1 kg. So all items, all packages below a weight of 1 kg, right, is required to produce. The post office persons is required to produce it in a in a C22. And customs declaration, a C23, is all postal packages with weight above 1 kg. That's important. Please take note of that. In some instances, items of mail may be selected for attention of customs because they're challenged during the sorting process and have no declaration affixed, right? During the sorting process, right? The sorting of the mails, there's normally a customs officer there with the post office staff as the mail are being sorted, right? And the officer, in going through the mail, he can request, right, any postal packages or mails to be examined. Liability to examination. Under Section 192 of the Customs Act, an officer of customs is empowered to examine any postal package arriving from a foreign location which is suspected to contain prohibited or restricted articles. I will throw out to the class. Could you name anyone, a prohibited import? Let me hear you respond. Anyone, what is a prohibited import?
Hard drugs.
Hard drugs. Going to detail hard drugs like?
Cocaine, marijuana.
Good. What is a prohibited? Okay. What is a restricted? Name a restricted import.
Firearm.
Firearm. Good. And is
A restricted import is an item that has to either get a special license to be imported, because it can be used in more than one way. For example, cocaine, like my colleague said, it can be used in the dental industry. Alongside, it can be used for other recreational purposes, while the latter reason is not encouraged. So the item is then, well, hence restricted. So prohibited on the other.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, someone else give me a prohibited export and a restricted. A prohibited export.
Uh, may I say certain chemicals used to create explosives?
Uh, mm, Certain chemicals, you got precursor chemicals, right?
Correct.
Those are dual use chemicals. You can use it for both legitimate and illegitimate purposes, right?
Pineapples, pineapples.
Legitimate,
Pineapple.
legitimate.
Give me another item of export that is restricted export that a person cannot carry out.
Live animal.
Yeah, that's restricted, yes. Live animals. And who controls that? Who's the regulatory authority for those restricted exports?
GLD.
GL, Gather Livestock and Development Agency. Yeah, in some cases, yes, GLD, yeah. Right. So I was looking for another agency that controls the exportation of these exports. You know the CITES? Who issues CITES? Which organization? Which
Guyana
agency?
Wildlife Conservation and Management Commission.
Yes, yes, yes. So I see these officers have done the research. All right. Thank you, folks. Such an examination may disclose items which are dutiable to seizures. Dutiable, so are subject to seizures. In the course of an examination, right, the officers at the post office must be au fait with what is restricted or prohibited items, right? A prohibited item in a postal package is obscene materials, pornographic materials, right? And those are subject to seizures, among others. Under Regulations 191, all postal packages are required to bear a declaration or a green label made out by the sender and may be opened or examined. Note the required to bear, in other words, if no declaration is made, the package, sorry, let me jump ahead of my slide. Well, yeah. So, yes, as I was saying, note the required to bear, in other words, if no declaration is made, right, and the package can be identified. Authorized and unauthorized posts. The main types of postal package, as I said, are parcels, this inclusive of small packages or packets and letters. Parcels are generally expected to contain goods, while packets may contain letters and small items. For example, keychains and some tinklets. Letters, of course, are correspondence generally which includes items. All parcels must be produced for the attention of customs. There is no need for their particular identification by a special distinctive label, form or label. Each parcel is expected to bear a declaration and present it for the examination by the proper officer, who is responsible for ensuring the assessment of the correct taxes, right? On the parcel itself, on the CN 22 or 23, it should give a general description of the items. Medication, for example, food items, etc. Insure post. box post. What is an insured box post? This describes the postal package which are ensured that they are handled and stored in a particular way which provide increased accountability upon delivery. You know, sometimes their items are of extremely high value, right? And you want to ensure that it reaches safely to its destination, right? The sender would generally insure the package in the case of any loss or theft. These insured boxes are generally travel quicker than uninsured parcels. Yes. They will travel, they can be insured parcels as they're conveyed with letters, usually in separate bags. The sender makes the usual customs declaration, and these packages are usually well boxed and carefully secured. Articles of gold, silver, precious stones, jewelry, and similar value may be carried in this manner, may be insured. Small packages and posts. Small packages usually carry a green label, right? This conspicuous green label affixed by the sender assists the General Post Office Corporation senders to extract them from the attention of customs. In some jurisdictions, it's done mechanically or electromechanically. No questions such thus far? Any questions? I'm coming through clearly, or you're lost?
No, you're speaking clearly, sir.
Oh, thank you. Green labels, postal letters, exhibit labels. Goods imported by the way of trade through these posts may have affixed the top of the green customs label and accompanied by a complete parcel declaration. This distinctive label facilitates the post office sorters to handle millions of letters and packages with a quick means of identification. You see, the green label system has befitted its users for years. However, in recent times has been the introduction of increased uses of courier packets. You see, the green label is affixed to these packages for easy identification purposes by the sorters. Methods of control. Primary examination of all postal package imported in Guyana is performed by the post office employees at the GPOC Georgetown. Both the card and the slip require the attendance of the importer or his authorized agent at the post office, where it is evident from the declaration that an entry is required. This is indicated on the slip or card. Cards are issued for parcels and slips for packages. The customs officer foresees the package when the importer attends to the post office, right? The package may be opened by either by the importer of the item or the post office staff, which is the importer's agent according on the section 194. So either the parcels or package could either opened by the importer or a post office employee. They're authorized under the law. The officers then perform the examination of the item, right? Commercial transactions are usually required for the use of an import declaration. There are items of commercial nature that comes through the post office, and these items is required to have a customs import declaration. All items that are imported by companies, right? If you're a company and you're importing items to the post office, you have to produce a customs declaration form, C-72 form, or any items of a commercial nature. If an entry has already been presented, he makes his examination thereon. That's the officer. If it's not been made out, the officer finds it necessary, the importer may make an entry at Customs House. In those cases, the officer assesses the duty on one form or card, and this is collected by the post office cashier and later vouchered to the GRA Finance Department. When the examination is completed and any necessary duty paid, the post office releases the packages to the importer. The entries are retained by the officer and filed, and the cards or slip are retained by the post office staff or the officer. The reason why this is audit purposes, right? What is pre-assess of parcels and packages? You see, sometimes there are packages that are imported into Guyana. Parcels, maybe parcels, boxes, packages. When they're imported into Guyana, the address or they're imported for the hinterland region, right? Where there is no permanent customs personnel or any remote location, because customs do not have personnel all over the 10 administrative regions of Guyana, right? So the practice of doing pre-assessment of parcels and packages are implemented. The practice of assessing at the GPOC the duties of the parcels package, which are sent to postal locations where there are no customs officers available to do an examination or assessment of duties. You see, because of the remote locations, there's no permanent customs officers stationed in these jurisdictions or locations. As a result, the packages at the post office is pre-assessed, right? An assessment is done by the customs officer of these packages and parcels, and the GPOC acts as an agent to the addressee, right? The duties are collected and subsequently paid to the Revenue Authority by the Postmaster General, right? These packages that are pre-assessed and sent to the regions, what happened is that the Post Office Corporation act as the agent for these persons, and they will pay the duty upfront to customs. Then the importer lives away from, if the importers live away from Georgetown, the package may be forwarded to a sub post office where they will be examined by a customs officer. If there is no local officer, the importer authorizes the post officer to open the package for him. The duty is assessed in Georgetown, and the package is forwarded to the sub post office, which collects the duty before releasing the package to the importer. Well, all monies will be audited, the accountability aspect. All the post office transaction is audited on a annually basis by our internal audit divisions, and all money received by the post office are subject to audit department. You go back, right? Display forms. There's temporary exportation. There is a special form issued by the Postal Authority and used by the exporter when it's intended for exportation of goods. For example, sender of a repair for watch repairs. This takes place of a shipping bill and is presented in duplicate. The officer examines the goods in mind, and they must be identified on re-import. He records the examination in the form, and the post office stamps both forms. One copy is retained by the customs and the other returned to the importer, who presents it when goods are re-imported. And when the goods are re-imported, as we know, things that are went out for repairs, duty is collected on the cost of the repairs. An invoice must be submitted by the importer on the costs of the repairs. This process has been for adoption with ASICUDA or ASICUDA system. Exports. Now we're dealing with exports. Exports to the GPOC are limited to 13 kgs, 13 kilograms. The reason for this is that the scanner at the airports cannot accommodate large and heavy packages, right? Previously, the weight was 40 kgs, right? And it proves a challenge going through the scanner at the Temiri International Airport or Ogle International Airport. So that's why there's a limit of 13 kgs that a person could export out of the country. And we know that, well, you're aware that there's a multi-stakeholder team that does examinations of both import and export at the GPOC. We have CANU, Customs Anti-Narcotics Agents, and they are there to assist the customs officer. They work in collaboration with the customs officers, and they conduct both examinations for imports and exports. Right. All postal items, letters, packets, and packages or parcels are subject to customs examination, and they may be labeled where required. Somebody say something? Yeah. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
No, yeah. Just speak a little louder. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay. I already mentioned that the packages are limited to 30 kg, right? So I would like to know if
Let
it's
me
by
just
law.
so hold on 1 minute. Yes, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yes,
Start
sir.
over.
I already mentioned that the packages are limited to 30 kg. I would like to know if it's by law or SOP.
Kano is involved in the examination. They were asking me if it's by law. Just go that again for me because I have a difficulty with my speaker here. Yeah, go again for me. The question. If it's by law.
The weight of the packages.
The weight of packages. No. That's no. It's not by law. It's through administrative agreement, right? Because of the capacity of the scanner, it cannot handle too large and bulky items, right? Because packages, parcels are scanned, but they both examine and scan. So it's by SOP. It's not by law. It's not enshrined in the law, right? If you have a larger scanner that can accommodate larger packages, well, then it can be larger packages can be accommodated. But for now, the scanners that we have at our various ports of entry and in our wharves and airports, they're limited in capacity, right? So it cannot handle large packages.
Okay, so we are mandated by law to interject a package as long as it's over 30 kg. To reject, sorry.
Just hold on. Yeah, just repeat for me. I having some difficult. Sorry about that with my speaker. Yeah. Hello.
She may need to come closer to her mic.
Yeah. Well, I'm hearing you clearly, but I'm hearing you clearly. Yeah, you need to come closer to your mic because it's muffling. You can come closer to the mic. Hello?
Are you hearing me now, sir?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
So as an officer at the post office,
Mhm.
it is to reject a package as long as it's over 30 kg.
An officer at the post office is could examine a package if it's over 100 kg, 30 kgs. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's mandated for us to reject the package as long as it's over 30 kg.
If it's over 30 kg, they would not accept that package. If it's not export. For export I'm dealing with, not import.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Mr.
The mail
Chairman,
items are,
yes,
sorry, go ahead.
question.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
we normally have container scans at the customs GRE scanner at GNIC there.
Mhm.
Once they're at the port, and we normally know vessels would leave and the containers would not be able to get on the vessel, so they would normally request a rescan.
Mhm.
Now, how long after which it was scanned first, when it reached the wharf, if the vessel leave, they have to request a rescan. Now, how long does it take for them to request a rescan?
All right. Good. Containers that are exported, right? Once they're scrap metal containers, if they're not exported within 7 days, right, from the first scan, they're required to send back to the scanning unit to be rescanned. After 7 days, that scan is null and void, and it cannot be exported. Just as scrap metal containers containing scrap metal. Containers containing other items, any other item, right? Whether lumber or any
Mhm.
other item,
Mhm.
they have 2 weeks, 14 days,
Also,
right?
just as scrap metal has the 7 days.
Pardon?
Just as
Just a
scrap
scrap
metal
metal. Yeah, 7 days. And
has
the
the 7
other
days.
containers, any other container other than scrap metal, 14 days. It has to return to the scanner
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
to be rescanned. Any other questions?
Sorry, sir. Good afternoon.
All right, yeah. The mails
Can you hear me?
accepted for, pardon? Yes, yes. Good afternoon. Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead.
I saw you mentioned that our meals parcel packages
Mhm.
are subject to a customs examination. Does
Yeah.
this apply to diplomatic parcel packages also?
No, under the Geneva Convention, diplomatic cargo is exempted from all customs procedures and policies, right? Under the Geneva Convention, the customs cannot examine no diplomatic cargo, right? How it is done is just the marks and numbers are taken and is released to the diplomatic community. You have immunity for both import-export procedures and import and export taxes also.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions? Mail items accepted for exports are packed into mail bags, which are sealed and transported to the place of departure under customs escort. Right? So also when the parcels are exported, you send in a box to your relative, any part of the world. It's examined by both customs and canoe officials. And once everything is okay, that box is sealed and the necessary declaration is placed on it. And it is placed in the mail bags and sent to the place of exportation, which is one of the airports, one of the ports of departure. And it's on the escort. Right? So at all times, the mails, both packages, parcels, boxes, and mails are under customs control from the time that they arrive into the country to the time that it's delivered to the importer. Similarly, the exports, they're under customs control until it leaves the country. I think that's the end of my session. Any questions, any clarifications?
Questions on the last part. Is that the transshipment or the in transit cargo we're speaking about, whereby it comes in the country without the duty paid in it, customs, patrol officers normally escort it to the exporter or importer?
No. Transit and transshipment is something totally different, a different arrangement,
Oh,
right?
okay.
It's a different arrangement. The postal things arriving by post, right? When it arrives at the CGIA airport or Ogle Airport, right? Customs takes possession, GPOC and customs, they normally take possession of the mails, and it is placed in a vehicle under customs seal, right? They seal the vehicle and it's escorted to the GPOC for examination. Similarly, the exports, they're sealed and sent to the airport, right? It's not in transit and no. That's a different arrangement. In transit and I think that they have a lecture on transit and in transit, and that's gonna clarify it some more for you.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, clarifications? Come on, everything is cleared? Everything what I've said is cleared? Go
One
ahead.
question.
Mhm.
Where the C22 and the C23 is needed for things below and above 1 kg, does that just apply to mails and packages, or?
It's applied to meals. Well, but you don't have a meal weighing 1 kg. Well, you could.
Mm,
Yeah, right. A meal weighing what, 2 pounds, right? If it's a manual, yeah, it may be, yeah. It's applied for both import and exports. Yeah, for parcels and packages, yes. Any questions? Any other question? Class quiet. I want you to challenge me. Everything has been cleared. Because sometimes somewhere along your career you may be stationed at the post office, right? So I want to ensure that that you have a clear understanding of how it is done. Seeing that there's no other questions, I thank you for giving me a lending ear, and I trust that this lecture has been helpful to you. All right, and I wish you all the success. Wish you success in your career as an officer one and onward.